Thank you for tuning in to an episode of InRange. This is an 1876 Winchester lever-action rifle chambered in 45-60. If you've not seen our video we've published already about us thinking that this should have been the standard gun of maybe the American cavalry / dragoons, you need to watch that video because this is a very interesting and compelling rifle. It's a repeater that holds 11+1 of what would have been an intermediate cartridge of the day. I think this might be actually a compelling mud test because we have a dust cover that actually closes. Now you have to manually close it once the gun is ready to go. When you run the action, it does open that cover automatically, but you will see that it does not close the cover. As well as the Kingsgate is spring-loaded, meaning that should keep dirt and debris and mud out of the action as well once the gun's loaded. So let's go ahead and let's get 10 rounds into this. We're not going to load the whole capacity, we have no need to. And we're going to see what happens. When we tested the 1860 Henry, it actually did much better than we expected. It was a gun that was one of those ones that surprised us in the mud test. And this is an improvement. The 73 improved the gun in that it added a safety to the action so that you couldn't fire it out of battery. And it added a dust cover as well as a better cartridge, which is what we see transferred over to the larger 1876. So I'm going to get these 10 rounds in here.
This is pretty much a stand-in for testing both the 73 and the 76 here.
I would agree. So there's no reason for us to test the 73 after this because they are mechanically the same gun. This is just the larger version of it. So once we get all that ammunition in there, which we have, all right, we're going to go ahead and chamber our round, close the dust cover, and put the hammer at...
You want to fire a couple rounds just to show that it works?
Yes, let me fire 2 rounds, prove that we're actually working. Gun's fine. I'm going to go ahead and leave it with a fired round in the chamber. But I'm going to close the dust cover, and we're going to go ahead and mud this. We've got our World War I Austrian shovel here, which is now our standard for mud testing. I can't believe I'm doing this either.
Again, such a shame, because this is such a beautiful reproduction gun. Yeah,
this is a reproduction by Uberti. It is identical in every way to the original gun. It is, however, of course, capable of handling nitrocellulose-based powders.
Right, as opposed it's identical, except it's made of better steel.
Made of better steel, so it's not a black powder only gun. Now the audience is going to say, why aren't you using black powder? And I'm going to answer that, because it's a giant pain in the ass. And we don't need to do that to mechanically mud test the gun. So, that's pretty bad, I'd say. Dust cover's closed. One little shake. I'm going to cycle the action. I'm going to fire 3 rounds. Maybe. All right, we're not quite getting into battery here. Something is impeding the ability to close the lever. There is a round that's trying to be brought into the chamber. I think we've got some mud right there. You see it?
Yeah. There's a little recess in the top of the chamber for the extractor to go into, and if that's full of mud...
Got it. Was able to get it with my nail. Second round. Third round. All right, that little recess where the extractor gets into was the problem. I cleaned it out with my nail and was able to continue. Shall we test it again with the cover closed, or should we test it with the cover open?
I think at this point we should throw some mud on there with the cover open and see what happens.
All right, here we go.
So you've still got an empty round, a fired round in the chamber.
There is a fired round in the chamber, which still seals the chamber, and now because this is closed, we have the extractor sealing that as well.
Right.
But we're going to go ahead and leave the dust cover open.
It may not pass.
Well, let's see. Ready?
Yep.
All right. There's really no reason to do more than that.
Yep, that gets the relevant part.
One shake. You know, that one little goof up there, not bad. I'm going to go ahead and do it again.
Okay.
Dust cover open. I mean, I'm literally pouring it in. What else do you want, right?
Try not shaking it.
All right. What we found with the 1860 is the lifter actually worked as a way to eject the filth out of the gun.
That's kind of what I'm thinking might happen here. Uh-oh. Or it might not.
Same problem.
All right.
So, let's get that cleared out if I can. No. All right, that's not going to happen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave it partially closed. I'm going to take our little water of remediation here, our standard bucket, and I'm just gonna rinse. And let's see. Not quite. It's a rock in there, quite literally a rock in there. Let's give it one more. Let's eject that round. If we can. Ah! All right, ready?
Yep.
It was gritty. And we are out of ammunition. Let's load a couple more.
Kind of remarkable.
Yeah, this is remarkable. We got a couple more rounds here. 1, 2, 3, let's go to 5, 4. Shall we mud it again or just see if it continues to run at this point?
At this point, I'd just try and run those 5 rounds.
All right, now that we've ran water on it and we've got 5 new rounds in it, let's see, even though it's gritty and slow, let's see if it works. Have to. Not a pass, but not a fail either. This is done much better than a lot of semi-automatic rifles we've done. It's done better than a bunch of bolt-action rifles. Did require a little bit of water and a little remediation with the Mark I fingernail, but after that, the gun got through quite a few rounds, and I was able to keep it running by just looking at it for a few seconds and thinking, what's the next step? So if I had a little water on me, or maybe a little rag, I think you could keep this gun running in what you can see is very adverse conditions. So this is another notch in the Winchester toggle link Henry action being a very reliable, capable rifle that really should have been considered more for the battlefield.
I think we do need to point out that part of the reason that these are more capable of working is that they're much simpler mechanically than semi-autos.
They are, but compared to a bolt-action rifle?
True.
It's very interesting that
That's where this repeating mechanism is better suited to mud than the bolt-action system.
The Kingsgate patent, like the Kingsgate really is good about closing up the action.
Yep.
And this lifter, we saw it on the Henry and we see it on the 76. Once you get stuff out of the way, it works in a way to actually eject dirt and debris out of the system. It actually is it's self-cleaning, as they said about
similar to the AR's vent ports doing a bit of work to blow gunk out of the ejection port.
Very similar, and I think that if you were to keep it in this condition, your likelihood of success was even greater.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
So
Especially if you have it in that condition, and if there's mud on it, you wipe it off right there before you go to shoot. I think that prevents most any problem you'd run into.
I think it does speak volumes to this being a very reliable design. So, guys, this ammunition's all custom made for this gun. It's courtesy of people like you, Patreon supporters, that make that possible. So is the gun itself. We purchased this for InRange for the Lever Gun Project. If you're not already a Patreon supporter, please consider it. If you can't do that, subscribe to one of our multiple channels. You find them on InRange.tv. Thanks for watching.